Good afternoon, everyone. It is 12:15, so it's time for our meeting to begin. It's good to see all of your lovely faces. Friends, I'm glad you're here today, and Dr. Bill Labar is going to open us with prayer.
Actually, I'm going to open with an announcement. We had a tremendous day with flags last Saturday. Everybody had a great turnout. Everybody should be proud. In fact, if we have as good a day on the 30th, which is a week from this coming Saturday, we will be done until after Labor Day. Wow! Robert, we got almost 100 flags put together.
Sweet.
So it was a tremendous work day. A lot of people, a lot of fun. It wasn't too hot, and it was great. So thank you for that. And remember, a week from Saturday on the 30th, we'll do it again, same time, same place, 8:30 in the morning. Got that, Jim? 8:30 in the morning. Okay. The other thing is, we need to remember Lindy. She's home from the hospital upstairs. Hopefully, get her stitches out or staples out this week, and maybe back with us next week. And only in Texas do you give God thanks and praise when it's 99 degrees.
Right.
That's a relief.
Yeah.
You know, in the Revelation, it says that hell is the same temperature as burning sulfur, which is 464 degrees. Isaiah says that heaven is 7 times the luminosity of the sun. 72 degrees is 565 degrees. So it's hotter in heaven than it is in hell if you're a biblical literalist. Okay? But you don't have to worry because you live through Texas. You've already been there. So join me. That's a Methodist joke, Jim. Join me in the spirit of prayer. Eternal God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day, for this club gathered together, and for the work that we do in our community, for the great day that we had last Saturday, and the great day that we're looking forward to in a week. We ask your spirit to be upon us. We remember our sister Lindy as she recovers. And oh God, we ask for rain. It's beginning to be hot and dry and terribly dry, and the fires are just awful. People are suffering. And so we ask for rain this day. We ask your spirit to be upon us, to bless our work in the community, to bless this food, to take it to the nourishment of our bodies, and keep us this day in your peace. In the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right. Past President Robert Alsop, will you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I will. You'll face the flag, put your hand over your heart, and join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Y'all may be seated. Donna, are there any guests to introduce today? All right. No guests, and we're going to press on because we have some extra. Yes.
You have one guest with us today.
Yes. My buddy Hunter is
Hey, Hunter.
Future Rotary.
Yep.
Yes. Rotarian in training. Very good. It's a joy to have you with us, Hunter. And it's also a joy to have with us our most recent past president, Linda Despain, is here in the flesh. Welcome back. So we are excited for that. But before we go any further, we have some old business to attend to. We need to install our director of membership. So Ryan, if you'll come up here and join me to one side and the other, so the people on the can see it. Awesome. All right, buddy. So the membership director is Ryan Maney, and it is your job to bring energy and ideas to our club in order to facilitate growth. Good luck. You will partner with programs, Terry Oliver, and community service leaders to ensure that all our events and activities have opportunities to invite others to be part of our fun Rotary family, right? You will put to use your skills at relationship building. You will report to the club any initiatives and programs that you have throughout the year. My friend, do you accept these responsibilities?
I do.
Excellent. Good. And because he's so late to the game, I'm going to give him a chance to tell us a little bit about his membership ideas and goals to get us started.
All right. Thank you so much, Shane. Thank you, Irving, Las Colinas Rotary. And mentioned a couple things in there about energy, enthusiasm, and growth, and I can't stand any of those things, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. But I'll do my best, right? So when it comes to membership, and I've learned a lot from what Lazaro has done over the last year, and I've gotten a lot of great advice and tips and contribution from existing members. But membership is not going to be something complicated. We're really going to try and build on what Lazaro has done, making it easy to share our story in regards to why we do what we do as Rotarians. Make it easy for people to sign up and join us, as well as making it easy for people to see what we're talking about that week and the projects we're engaged in. And so those are the things that I'm going to be focusing on, and as well as doing quarterly projects, partnering with Terry Oliver, a great program, partnering with community service leaders to really help us fulfill our mission as Rotarians, and then make it easy for people to join our mission and continue forward. So again, I really appreciate all the support, all the engagement, the encouragement, and so forth. And I look forward to one of the stretch goals I'll share. I'm sorry, is to reach 100 members this year.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's right. That's right. And one of the things that I'm aspiring to do with membership is to not only hit that number, but hit that number with a lot of the fresh blood that's happening in Irving and Las Colinas. Big companies are moving to Irving and Las Colinas, so I'm going to try to engage with those organizations, find some young leaders, some people that want to join and engage in the community, and use that to help spawn growth. We'll be doing quarterly activities as well, whether it be socials or impactful speakers or community service events to engage the members, and then we'll continue to execute on those. And so I look forward to doing everything I can from a membership standpoint. I look forward to the partnership from each and every one of you, as well as all of you virtually, to spread the word and get more new perspective and new ideas in our club. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yes, and last year we got some great business cards that have QR codes for our club information as well as the flags. So if you would like some of those, please let Brian or I know so that we can get those to you, and you can hand them out at chamber events, church events, activities in the community, your block party, whatever. Make sure you have a couple of those on hand in case you see someone that might be a good Rotarian or would be interested in buying some flags, because we want to keep that program going as well. Now that Rick Lindsay is in the room, we can make a special presentation. You ready, Rick?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, we're going to call forward past President Linda Despain.
Presentation divided by the past president's council. I'd like to invite Patty Landers Caperton, past President Alsop, past President Harris. Anybody? All right, y'all have joined me up here. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to present this award that just arrived at my house on Rochelle 5 minutes ago by Pony Express. That's why I just now getting here. They texted me and said the pony's gonna be. Anyway, we got it.
Texas.
Yes, stay put. So no, but Linda had a great year last year. Great leadership, great programs, great avenues of service, accomplishments. She went through that, and our president Shane Webb commented on that. I would just like to say thank you for your support of the flag team, Kathy Howard and Bill Lavara, and all the Rotarians that did that. We had a great year. We're up around 60 plus Millennium Fountain, so it was a great, great year. So it's an honor for me to present you with this pen that has a beautiful stone in the middle, mine somewhere in Africa. Not sure, but I'd like to present you just with this past president.
Got it.
Past president, you've been there, sir. Right. Okay, and let's like each other now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Excellent. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Rick. Awesome. And without further ado, I'm going to invite Terry Oliver, our program director, to introduce our speaker for today.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us today. Our speaker today is Karen Spicer. Karen is the Director of Job Access with the Community Council of Greater Dallas. And she also serves on the iCAN board, the Irving Community Action Network, as the treasurer. So please help me welcome Karen and let's hear what she has to say.
Good afternoon. Again, I am feeling happy and grateful I get to be here today, and it is only 9:09. Certainly, is this better for you? Is this better?
There you go.
I do have a very loud voice. I can get out of control, as my children will tell you. I was checking the weather today because I am a transplant from Los Angeles, and I do have a weather listed where all my family lives, and no one was above 85 today, and they were all complaining about needing air conditioning. And I was like, I can't take it, I can't take it. But I digress. So I am Karen Spicer. I am the Director of Job Access for the Community Council of Greater Dallas. We are an 80-year-old nonprofit agency that supports workforce development. We take families and individuals out of poverty, and through paid training programs, job placement, we follow families for about 1 year to 2 years to make sure they're financially stable and they have a career path and they're good providers for their family. That is how I got involved with iCAN, the Irving Community Action Network. I'm also an Irving resident, so it was very fascinating to me when I first met them. But iCAN is an organization that is about 40 to 50 nonprofits, government entities, faith agencies, and businesses that serve the Irving area. Our goal is to make life better for the residents of Irving. We are committed. That was a really good saying.
Nice job, Robert.
We are committed to finding solutions to problems that we have here in Irving. And when I say problems, issues, or challenges, we typically deal with a community that is underserved, overpopulated, and really struggles on the fringe of society here in Irving. So we deal with families that are in poverty, right above poverty, and thanks to COVID, the group that never needed us before that now needs us more than ever. So what do? We come together once a month. We look at the issues that we're facing in Irving. We come with solutions, and we come as a group that is tied together. And what that means, my example for you is, let's say Irving Cares meets with a family. The Irving School District sent a family to Irving Cares for food and services. They realize they're living in their car. They call Family Promise. Family Promise in Irving houses them. Family Promise calls me and says, can you pay for training so they can afford a home in Irving? So it usually takes about 8 agencies plus a couple of churches thrown in order to keep a family off the streets. We have, if you're not familiar with it, iCAN also supports the 3 shelters we have here in Irving. If you're not familiar with those, one is Brighter Tomorrows, our domestic violence situation. Family Promise that keeps families together in a shelter off the street. And then the inclement weather shelter. So I don't know how many have been out to the inclement weather shelter or even know about it. there's a couple, okay, that's pretty good. So Irving opened up last year its first official inclement weather shelter, and it is a designated place for people to go that don't have shelter from extreme cold. It is at Christ Church on Airport Freeway, and I want to say roughly Carl Road. They're open about 27 to 30 days a year where the weather drops below 18, I believe it's 18 degrees. And they house, feed, clothe, do laundry, shower facilities, everything is there so that people aren't staying out on the street, not going to the library, you know, and being tucked in corners that aren't safe. So that was our newest project this last year. Another project that we did last year was we had a professional services forum where we brought all of the nonprofits together in one location so families could come and get services with ease, right? One of the biggest challenges that we face is a lot of our clients don't have transportation, and it literally takes 4 or 5 days for you to get from Irving Cares to Baylor to the community council to a clothes closet, because you have to plan it all out. And we know that DART is a wonderful addition to our community, but you have to work on DART's schedule. So we brought all the services into one place so that families could come sign up for all the services they need with ease, and that worked out really, really well. We probably had 150 families there on that given day. The other project that we are doing this year is our back to school fair. It'll be housed at the Christ Church location on August 7th from 2 to 7. And they will be doing school supplies, haircuts, eye exams, physicals, shoes, anything that a child would need. Uniforms is the other one. And anything a child would need to go back to school and fit in and be successful. So we're really trying to, as a community, tie all of these agencies together and deal with issues that may not be addressed. One of our strongest partnerships right now is with the Irving Independent School District. And I don't know if anyone's talked to a teacher or a social worker out of the Irving Independent School District lately. They are struggling. They have an influx of refugees. They are overburdened and overwhelmed. So they come to us once a month with issues that they face in the school district. And if we as a group try to address those issues every single month, it could be homeless families, it could be needing psychiatric or mental health care, it could be something as simple as uniforms, it could be an apartment complex that was burned out this year and all of the students were there. So we're trying to come together as a group, as a whole, so that we can seamlessly service the clients in need, so that they're not going to multiple places. We're not driving them nuts, making them repeat their story over and over and over again. So that's one of the other things that we've been doing. iCAN is also the emergency contact for the city of Irving in case of a natural disaster, a man-made disaster, or I guess any kind of disaster. They place one phone call to iCAN, and iCAN disseminates the information out to all of the other nonprofit agencies, churches, and businesses that want to participate. So things like if there's a hurricane, they need water donated, diapers donated, blankets donated, anything like that, we can get the word out quickly, give you the drop spot so that you can get them there quickly, and we're not clogging up the people that are trying to provide the service. I recently learned, I had no idea, I've been fortunate, knock on wood, right, that I have not been a victim of a fire. I recently learned that the American Red Cross does amazing work with us, but if your name is not on the lease, you don't get services. So think about that. If you're in a fire and you're living with your auntie or your sister or your grandma and your name is not on the lease, you don't get services. If you don't have identification, you don't get services. Now, think about it. You're in a fire. You've lost everything. You don't have a copy of your lease. Your cell phone doesn't have your ID on it. Your cell phone may have been melted in the fire. You don't get services. So iCAN is committed to tying all of these resources in. We work very closely with the city, we work very closely with the American Red Cross so that we can get services to people immediately. So we had a big fire here in Irving not too long ago. We worked with the school district. I think we had 129 families displaced. They were all settled within I want to say 5 days, which to me is horrific. But 5 days is better than not being settled at all. So every day we're trying to work to cut that down. We try to address the root cause of why families are in need. So we have to take COVID out of it because that has created a whole new level of poverty. But if you take a look at the families that live in poverty, that are in generational poverty, iCAN is coming together to solve that problem and that issue. We're also coming together to solve the problem and the issue of chronic homelessness. And we've all seen them here at Irving, the ones that have been on the street corners for the last 10 years. And we all say, why can't we do something about that? So we're coming together to do something about that as well. What I would say to anybody that says, well, what can I do, right? What can I do? I run a business, I try to hire people, I support my school district, I support my city government. What can I do? There are a lot of things that you can do that make a difference to people in this situation. So obviously, one is always donate to your favorite charity. The other one is always volunteer. What we have found through the Inclement Weather Shelter, through Family Promise, through Brighter Tomorrows, that many of our clients lack the social practice to command a higher paying job, to command the self-respect and to be able to walk into groups like this and fit in. So we do everything we can to help them practice with their social skills. The other thing is find out what the need is in the community that isn't being addressed, right? What is not being addressed? So rental assistance is being addressed in Irving, clothing is being addressed in Irving, food is being addressed in Irving. What's not being addressed in Irving is transportation. If you are living on a minimum wage job, you can't afford a bus pass. And bus passes to nonprofit agencies are like roads. So there's an area in which we can help donate a bus pass. Have your church donate bus passes. There are many things that our funding will not allow us to cover. I'll give you a great example. My agency is federally funded. We're very, very lucky. But we have a program to help homeless people get into hotels. And with that, we give you a food card to Walmart, to Kroger, grocery store, so that you can get the food that you need. You're only allowed to buy food. Well, the federal government has decided it's a great idea for us to go with the client and shop for them, or shop with them. I don't have the manpower to do that. Where do I want to take somebody's dignity away by standing over their shoulder telling them which yogurt is cheaper? So when you stop and think about things that you can do, a $20 Kroger card that is not connected to a special funding program is truly a gift from God for the nonprofit agencies. The other area is we put people on the bus, we send them to training programs, we send them to work. We get really excited about it, but they don't have food and they may come home to a shelter and they've missed the dinner hour. So one of the biggest gifts that we get donated to us are $10 McDonald's cards, Taco Bell, Raising Cane's, Chick-fil-A, anywhere. So we can give people food cards so that when they're taking the bus home from work, they can get a meal because they missed it at the shelter. So really everything that we try to do in the nonprofit world now, we are switching our focus. We want to reward the behavior like you would get rewarded at work, right? I go to work every day, I get a paycheck. I do a really good job, I get a pay raise, I may get a bonus. I may get an extra day off, right? Those are things that I have grown up in the work world learning. Well, our families that live in extreme poverty have never had that reward type of situation. So those are the things that we are doing. You show the right behavior, we're giving you bonuses, we're giving you gift cards, we're helping you with jobs, we're helping you with homes and hotels. So again, check the organizations you belong to, the churches you belong to, even if it's a small church and all you can give are 10 gift cards a year, those gift cards are greatly appreciated and they make a huge difference. I will say that I spent 30 years in the for-profit industry and I had a great time and loved every single minute of it. And I retired and went into the nonprofit industry. My biggest frustration in the nonprofit industry is everything is tied to some kind of rule or guideline. I can't just take a person, put them in my car and get them a job, pay for them to go to a hotel, give them food and groceries and clothing. I have to justify everything. I have to document everything. If it's not covered under our grant, we are not allowed to do it. And so that really ties into the partnerships of iCAN. So if I can't do something, I can go to an iCAN member and find the one that can. And together we can partner to get someone successful and move them off the street or move them out of poverty. And that's really the beauty of iCAN. It's like your group, your networking group here. You all come together, you find a problem, you come up with a solution. Hopefully you have a really good time doing it. It seems like you do. And we try to do the same thing at iCAN. We also try to recognize our employees, our case managers. Our caseloads due to COVID have quadrupled and our staff has not. So where we used to see 100 people a year, we're seeing 5,000 people a year. So we don't have the highest level of technology, the most sophisticated systems, because our money has to go to the clients. So, you know, if that's something your church wants to take on and work with iCAN to recognize our case managers, we're bringing in, we're paying for speakers, experts to come in and help educate to deal with the new types of traumas that are out there. We are recognizing those that are going above and up and above in the call of duty. We're recognizing those agencies that are small, that really do amazing work, that don't have the support of being part of a larger agency. So if you're interested in being in one of those types of programs and recognizing some people that are doing some amazing things in your city. Did you know that you had a drive-through clothes closet in the city here? So Sharon in the main place, I'm sure some of you know Sharon. When COVID hit, it became a drive-through clothing closet. The food pantries became drive-through food pantries. We took all of our education online. We don't have sophisticated IT groups that can do that for us. We just did it via FaceTime and Zoom calls. So not always the best, but you know what? You just have to do what you have to do. The other piece of it too is I think if you can get involved in a nonprofit organization and come hear some of the success stories, it is amazing what people in Irving are doing. I have a lady, I think she came from Irving Cares to the inclement weather shelter. We sent her to Austin Street Shelter in downtown Dallas. She did a great job. She got part of the rapid rehousing program. She got an apartment. Apartment wasn't going to be ready for 90 days because of the housing shortage. My organization put her up in a hotel for 60 days because that's all we could do. I had one of the churches put her up in a hotel for another 30 days. We just moved her into her apartment. She starts her job at $42,000 a year. She will be able to afford her own apartment within the next 6 months. That took probably 100 people to make that happen. So anytime you have a chance to help, it's never minute. It's always something that's desperately needed. It could be anything from socks to books to clothing to pens to pencils to gently used briefcases, anything someone would need in an interview. Or if you're just interested and you want to know why people are struggling, why people are having a hard time right now, feel free to attend an iCAN meeting. We'll give it to you hook, line, and sinker, whether you want it or not. The other thing that I really think people need to start taking a look at and talk to your city council about the price of housing in Irving. Our newest population, our newest demographic in homelessness here in the city of Irving are our senior citizens. They're being completely priced out of their apartments, their homes, there's nowhere to go. Senior housing has a waiting list of 3 to 5 years. And I want to say off the top of my head, over 50% of the residents in the inclement weather shelter were over the age of 52. So that is heartbreaking. They're living in cars if their car still runs. So there are a lot of things that we need as far as our seniors are concerned here in Irving. In the fall, we will be putting a senior resource fair on, if anyone is interested in participating, in the hopes that seniors can come and be potential roommates. Or maybe someone could come and say, hey, I have a room in my house I want to rent out. I'd be interested in renting to a senior. Other services that they can get so that we can keep them off the street. So we really have twofold this year. One is the people that are newly homeless is to get them off the street as quickly as possible because we don't want them becoming acute. And then addressing our acute problem, which takes a little bit longer. So I know I've rambled for quite some time, and I could probably go for another 8 hours. But does anybody have any questions about iCAN and anything that we're doing? Yes, ma'am.
Where's your office?
Yeah, well, we don't have one, but thank you for asking. We would love one. We currently all work out of our own nonprofits, and we get together at various churches once a month. This year, we're meeting at Irving Bible Church, and then we do our board meetings at some of the smaller churches in South Irving. But yeah, we're all running our own agencies, so we really don't have the one main office.
When's the next meeting?
It is, and I can make sure that Terry gets it sent out. It is the last Monday of the month.
This coming Monday.
This coming Monday, 3 to 5, roughly 3 to 4:30. Try to get everyone out before traffic.
And it's a Zoom meeting
It
this
can
year.
be Zoom or in person. We've had the mayor out, we've had the deputy police, chief of police, we've had DART out to come educate us on DART. We are all being educated on how to help people get an ID. I don't know if anyone's tried to get an ID lately. It can take up to 13 weeks to get a Texas ID. Can't have a job, can't get an apartment without an ID. Federal government says we're only allowed to put you up at a hotel for 30 days to get you an apartment, but I can't get an ID for 13 weeks. So those are some of the things that we're going back to city council with and saying, hey, how can we fix this? How can you help us parlay this information to the government? We're here, we want to do this. Any other questions? Yes, yes, sir.
So, have you received federal funding over the past few years?
My agency does. iCAN does not. We do receive a community chest fund from the city of Irving, and that allows smaller nonprofits and churches to pay for services and be reimbursed for that. So if a family comes to your church and needs an emergency hotel, you can put them up in a hotel and then send the receipts in, and you will get reimbursed for that hotel stay.
So yesterday, President Biden mentioned we might donate hundreds of millions towards an emergency stay with all of the heat wave. Have you received anything in detail? How will you go about applying for all this?
So what happened is, depending on the agency and how they're funded and who they're funded with, they usually go to the agencies that already give that service out and give them additional funds, because we know how to do rental services, we know how to pay electric bills. Irving Cares does it all the time. So they go to the agencies that do it first and will ask us if we want extra money. What we're finding out is a lot of agencies are saying, no, they don't want the money because of all of the reporting that goes along with it, and it doesn't cover staff costs. So that's the other challenge. But we probably we'll be notified by our funder, and we probably will do it. Yes, ma'am.
So if we had a bunch of $10 gift cards or whatever, where would we take them?
Be still my heart.
And then how do you, if you go to iCAN, how do you decide which agency gets it?
So what we always tell people is you have a passion, right? Some people love working with children, some people love working with veterans, some people love working with sex trafficking victims, some like working with the homeless, some like working with families trying to pull out of poverty. You have to find your passion for what you truly enjoy. And you can have that opportunity at iCAN because you can meet every agency and see how they run. If you have $10 cards, I would say take them to Irving Cares, mark them in an envelope for iCAN, and then we will disperse them through the agency. So we have an agency that's part of iCAN that's called Level Pathways. And Level Pathways deals with homeless teenagers in the Irving School District. And Bob is always looking for quick meals for those kids. I mean, he does an amazing job. All Things Made New is another one that works with teenagers that are trying to stay on a college-bound path. So counseling, therapy, social services, they work with them from the age of 12 all the way through their first year of college. They're always looking. My group is always looking because it's a 2.5-hour bus ride for a job right now if you're living in a shelter, and then you don't get fed. So we're always giving them out as well. I had a lady come into a shelter. Of course, it always happens Friday. Is it Friday? No,
Thursday.
So
Almost.
tomorrow, starting at 2 o'clock, my phone will ring. I do emergency housing. And I always get moms and dads living in their cars in this heat that need a hotel for the weekend because they just can't take it. So I can get them in the hotel and I can hand up these cards. I can drive to McDonald's, pick up food, go to the hotel, and then get them situated with grocery carts. But if you're living in a hotel, Walmart card doesn't do you too much because you don't have a refrigerator. So we try to really base it on the family's needs. We try to make them feel as dignified as possible. You want to drive your kids through McDonald's, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I think I probably have spent about $500,000 on Happy Meals over the years. I hate to admit it, but we want to give them that dignity. We want to make sure that they're fed so that they can think clearly, and we can put them through budgeting classes, training programs, all those things that they need in order to get stable. Any other questions?
I learned this morning at work that one of my coworkers had a pipe burst, I guess because of this extreme heat under their foundation. So they have no water. They recently located within the last year from Louisiana and purchased this. So she and her fiance are employed. Does that in any, they're gonna have a long road ahead of them, I'm sure. Does that in any way resemble any of the clients that you serve?
Yes, especially lately. The challenge is if somebody makes over a certain amount of money, they don't qualify for assistance. So in those cases, we try to partner with the city and some of their home improvement programs. We try to partner with some of our major churches that have been incredibly generous with us and will step in and say, I can fix that for them. I can handle that piece. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight. Like if you're a consumer and pick up the phone and need a plumber tomorrow, they're out there tomorrow. Doesn't happen that way. We have to call, we have to get permission, we have to call around and find somebody who's going to work with us, the way we need to bill them, all that kind of good stuff. But they may qualify, and they may qualify for something for the city. Thank you. Yes, sir. Are we out of time? I'm sorry.
We can take one more.
One more in the back.
How much are bus passes?
Ooh, they're $5, I want to say they're roughly, we buy in bulk, so I forget the individual price, but I want to say $5 a day minimum. Monthly pass, I think is like $80 to $85, and then you can buy an annual pass. Because of the nonprofit rates that we get them for the day passes. So we typically will give someone 2 weeks at a time. But you can go online and buy a bus pass and then to drop it off at a nonprofit, and they can give it to a family in need or a student or an individual that may need it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. All right. Are there any very brief announcements for the good of the club? Rick, did you have something?
I can talk about.
Oh, he can talk about anything. You kidding me?
Yeah.
I can talk about the bowling pond.
Yeah, if you'll say that to next week, I just want to briefly say, to remind people about the past president's meeting. Is that in September? September 1st, past president's meeting.
10:30 to 11:45 in this room.
10:30 to 11:45, September the 1st.
Can't be there. Opening bid, sorry.
So if you can, mark it on your calendars. And thanks again to all who helped out with the flags this past Saturday. That went well. It was pretty fun.
That was a fantastic day.
Yes, indeed. Great. If y'all will please stand. Jim Klein is going to lead us in the four-way test.
Please join me in the four-way test. Things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Meeting is adjourned.